Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the price of Bitcoin. I am taking a different approach today when it comes to looking at the price. I am going to be comparing Bitcoin currently to the weekly time frame, comparing where we are when it comes to the Bitcoin halving. This is really important. This is a different perspective that I typically do not take on most of my other videos, but I think it's really important for you to understand. There have been times in the last several weeks that I'm like, is it time to get back into Bitcoin? And I have been close, but after looking at what I'm going to show you today, you are probably going to just sit back and have a lot more patience when it comes to getting back in on Bitcoin. This is a very telling chart and it's gonna make a lot of sense to you guys, and it's gonna really help you when it comes to making decisions on whether to get into Bitcoin or not. We're gonna be also going over traditional markets, and then first things first, we're gonna start with the news. But before we go any further, I want to remind you guys that I have a link down below if you would like to book a 30-minute call with me. You can ask me anything you want, and I'm also going to send you a free Ledger Nano S when you go ahead and sign up for that 30-minute call. So I have my new calendar down below for the month of May. So first things first, let's get into the news. Sweden's largest pension fund has lost billions of dollars investing in First Republic Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and Signature Bank. All three of these banks have collapsed in the last few weeks, and the pension fund was a large shareholder in all three. JP Morgan just said its acquisition of First Republic will generate a one-time gain of $2.6 billion. They also expect over $500 million in profit per year from the acquisition. On top of this, the FDIC is covering $13 billion in losses and providing $50 billion in financing. This is all while JP Morgan is technically not allowed to acquire a deposit-accepting bank due to regulations. You're witnessing the product of a flawed system. So something similar actually happened back in 1907. It seems like JP Morgan has priority when it comes to recovering these failing banks. So I mentioned last week that the government was about to seize First Republic Bank, but now it looks like they have given JP Morgan the rights to purchase it, which is pretty wild. So yeah, three of the biggest bank failures in US history happened in the last 100 days, yet the majority of Americans don't know a single thing happened. Miami is the #1 destination for people looking to move, and San Francisco is the #1 place people want to move out of. Bitcoin just processed more transactions in a day than ever before. So yeah, like I said, First Republic Bank seized by the authorities and sold to JP Morgan. Let's see here. Pretty wild. So despite the rule against one bank controlling more than 10% of deposits, JP Morgan was still able to make this acquisition, and they now hold more than 2.4 trillion in deposits. That is not a very good thing. We do not want a single bank with that much control. There are a few updates when it comes to Celsius. So earlier this week, Celsius began the auction of Nova Wolf, Fahrenheit LLC, and the Blockchain Investment Recovery Committee. We made substantial progress during the bidding process over the past 4 days. Let's see what else is happening over with Celsius. The auction is now adjourned until further notice while discussions of the bids continue. As these discussions continue, the deadline to submit our disclosure statement has been extended until May 11th. The bar date is now delayed until further notice, pending an order of the court regarding the UCC's forthcoming class certification motion. And there's more information if you would like to read it. According to the examiner's report, Alex Mashinsky made at least $68.7 million of net profit selling cell tokens to his users, most of which now don't have access to their own digital assets at all. Unfortunate. So Venmo is now set to launch a new feature that will enable users to transfer Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin to external wallets as well as other users on the app. So we are just a few days away from the Fed meeting. It's happening this week. After today's PCE inflation data, odds of a 25 basis point hike next week are at 90%, and odds for another 25 basis points rate hike in June are at about 28%. However, at least 2 rate cuts are expected this year. The Fed still has not said they support any rate cuts this year. So this week will be very interesting. Dropbox lays off 500 employees, 16% of staff, CEO says due to slowing growth and the era of AI. So it begins of people losing their jobs to AI. I think it's all gonna probably happen a lot faster than we can even anticipate. Pretty crazy there. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the price of Bitcoin. So we know that every 4 years, Bitcoin has a halving. That's when basically every 10 minutes, the amount of Bitcoin created through mining is cut in half. So there are different countdown, I guess you can call them calculators. So for example, this is Coin Wars. It's predicting 361 days, not 361, 361 days versus this one is anticipating 307 days. So there is a wide range when it comes to the predictions on when the next Bitcoin halving will be. But it's really important here to take a deep dive when it comes to Bitcoin and the timing of the halving. So let's go ahead and see here. I am going to put on the top here, that is Bitcoin's current chart, and at the bottom, I am going to put Bitcoin at the previous market cycle. So this is what we know. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is December of 2022. This, on both of these charts, I am looking here at the 7-day chart. When you look over here at where we're at, we are 79 weeks currently on Bitcoin's weekly chart. We are 79 weeks from Bitcoin's previous all-time high. When we take a look back at Bitcoin's previous market cycle, 79 weeks took us here. And so when we look at this chart, we see that after that point, Bitcoin had a significant pullback over the next several months. This right here is the week of May 20th. That is lockdown, so you can, if you want, take that out of the equation because as we know, that is an outlier. But we're also living in times where there are, seems like black swan events on a monthly basis, so you just never know what we're gonna get next. So as you can see here, after Bitcoin made the bottom after the previous all-time high of $20,000, okay, you could be so convinced that we are in a bull market, which many people are very convinced that we have now entered a clear, straight shot of a bull market, of a bull run. So you could see here, Bitcoin went from about $3,500 all the way up to almost $14,000. That is a move of conviction. You could be very convinced that the bottom is in and Bitcoin is just gonna go straight for the races. But after that, we saw a massive pullback. Bitcoin went down to about $4,000 in the month of March. But if you take that out of the equation, Bitcoin still pulled back to 6,200. So it pulled back significantly. Where are we at? If you look here, there are a lot of similarities on the weekly chart. So that would basically be from here to here and here to here. Very similar structural wise. So I do believe that we will see a pullback. I think it will be more in the $20,000 range because I don't think that we are going to see these. The more that I look at this chart, I think it's less likely that we go below 15,500 and that we go more in this range of 20 to 22,000. I think that is very likely. Okay, so the halving happened in May, I believe it was. I believe the halving happened, yes, over here in this range. So you could see there was a lot of strength into the halving and then a bit of a pullback, and then Bitcoin within the next several months took off quite dramatically. And by dramatically, I mean look at this chart here. This was pretty intense. It took off rather quickly. So I think that we see Bitcoin pull back, trade within a range for several months, and that we won't really see Bitcoin do big, bold things until after the halving, which is approximately 1 year away. So I would be looking between now and the end of the year as key times to accumulate as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. That is what I'm seeing here on the charts, and it just makes sense. I don't think that we're just ready to go straight up. I think that we will see Bitcoin, like I said, pull back, trade within a range, pick up as much Bitcoin as you can in the $20,000 range, and then just have your bags packed for late next year, when I think that things are going to get very, very exciting. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. So now that we have compared Bitcoin's previous market cycle to where we are now, it feels like I have more clarity actually. I haven't gone back and looked at those charts in a while, but I think that we will, like I said, see Bitcoin pull back over here to about 2022, and then it's going to be somewhere over here end of next year, mid to end of next year, where we see Bitcoin go wild. But let's see how things are looking on the shorter time frames here. This right here is the daily chart. So Bitcoin did not make a higher high on the daily, and we're seeing that pull back again, but once again, we're seeing Bitcoin held up by that 50 DMA on the daily chart. So if we break it, then I would anticipate to see Bitcoin go to about 25,500 over the next week or so. So very interesting here. We bounced a bit off of the 50 DMA last week, but Bitcoin is flirting with it once again. Let's take a look here at the 12-hour chart. 12-hour chart looking weak as well, but if it can hold a low of this candle right here, which is 26,947, we are in okay of shape. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, looking quite weak as well, a lot of indecisiveness. This is the hourly. Hourly is looking very weak on Bitcoin, but being held up by that 50 DMA as well. If it's broken, I believe we will see Bitcoin head over here to about 25.6, 25.7. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart looking weak as well. So Bitcoin looking weak overall, but Bitcoin really being held up nicely on a lot of time frames by that 50 DMA. Let's take a look here at the 15-minute chart, trending downwards as well. Quite a bit of weakness. Let's take a look here at the 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart is actually looking a bit better. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum is sitting at 1839. Looks like Bitcoin is down significantly more against Ethereum. Bitcoin down 3%, as Ethereum is down 1.65%. Let's go and look at, take a full look at Ethereum. I think it's important to take a full, complete look here at Ethereum, because in some instances, Ethereum leads the way. The weekly chart looks very similar on Ethereum. Same thing with the daily chart, a little bit more weakness. Ethereum sliding a little bit more into that 50 DMA. Let's take a look at the 12-hour here. 12-hour is looking weaker. It's getting closer to making a lower low on the 12. 4-hour chart looking rather weak. Hourly chart looking weak as well. So significant weakness here on the Ethereum chart as well. Gold at 1981. Coinbase is down over 7% today to 49.99. Litecoin across the board, a lot of red in the crypto space. Market's not doing too good. 86.92. Link is at 6.92. We have DOT at 5.71. So a ton of red across the board, across the entire crypto space. Celsius is down 12%. Bittrex. So they actually still traded the Celsius coin. That's pretty interesting. Let's take a look here at Tesla. Tesla's at 162, red on the day. Let's take a look at majors, because it appears that earlier this morning, before the stocks opened, Bitcoin had already pulled back. And so I was anticipating stocks to open up weak today, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So we are actually seeing not as much correlation as usual. The daily chart is looking much stronger. SPY is looking much stronger than Bitcoin these days, and it is consistently. The 12-hour looks strong, the daily looks strong, the 4-hour looks strong, the hourly looks strong. All of these time frames looking really, really strong on SPY. 30-minute looking excellent. So very interesting to see. Not as much correlation. It's nice. I mean, I want to see eventually Bitcoin doing better, but it's nice to see not as much correlation. A decent amount of red here when it comes to marijuana stocks. Tilray down to 227. So that's all that I pretty much have for you today when it comes to the price of Bitcoin and other markets. I think that what I pointed out today is quite significant. I think it's really easy to get really excited, typically too quickly when it comes to Bitcoin. But when you kind of compare where Bitcoin is at in relationship to being 79 weeks out from the previous all-time high, and in relationship to the halving, I think that it's quite likely that we have a significant pullback, so I really wouldn't be buying here. I am still on the sidelines. I am waiting to get back on Bitcoin. I have not yet re-entered, and after looking at that comparison today, there is no need, in my opinion, to make a rush into Bitcoin. Like I said, I have a link down below if you'd like to schedule a 30-minute call with me, and you also get that free Ledger Nano S. That's all that I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.